And welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Trades HQ podcast, brought to you by the Dynasty Football Network and DynastyFootballFactory.com. My name is Michael Cipes. You can find me on Twitter at FFBlitz, and I'm here with my partners Jeremy Browand
at DFF_Madman
and Shane Manila.
I'm at DFF_Shane. Data. I'm just data this week.
Is that what you are?
Data.
Yeah, you change
Yes.
it. You change. It's kind of cool that you change it all the time. Your name stays. Your handle stays the same. You just change your name all the time.
Yeah, I don't. Are you able to change your handle? I'm afraid if I change my handle,
No,
people
you know
won't
what?
be able to find me.
I tried to do that and I lost a bunch of tweets, like which maybe you don't care about, but a lot of history. And so I changed it back, and they all came back because whatever was associated with at DFF_Madman was no longer like there, except for maybe the most recent stuff. It was weird. Like I lost years of data.
But then it
when I
all
changed
came
it.
right back.
As soon as I changed it back to at DFF_Madman, yeah, I was able to see all that stuff again. Yeah, I know. Maybe it's not that way, but that was like a year or so ago.
That's
So
pretty
let me
interesting.
ask you this:
Yes.
Yeah.
in a FFPC league, you guys know the scoring settings for that. I'm assuming.
Well, hold on. No, hold on.
yeah.
Our listeners may not know the scoring for FFPC. What is it?
No, I don't either.
Tight end premium, right?
It's a
0.5.
tight end premium. Let's assume you had Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and Chris Herndon soon to return from his drunken driving suspension. He'll be back
Right.
next week. Would you trade Mark Andrews for David Montgomery? And yeah, FFPC scoring tight end premium 1.5 points per reception for those tight ends.
Keeper league, right? You only can keep like 16 players at the end of the day, at the end of the season, right?
Yeah, well, it's Dynasty.
Right, but
they're
more like a
Dynasty.
keeper.
But yeah, in the offseason, you can only keep 16 players.
What
so
running
is
backs?
Andrews, and I guess either one of those guys would be in your list of 16. So I guess that doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
You're gonna
there's-
keep whichever guy.
And
Go
what?
ahead, Mike.
What? Yeah, I was just gonna say, what running backs do you already have?
Well, yeah, so here's the issue. Right now, every week, I'm rolling. I got to scroll down. There you go. So I've been rolling Nick Chubb out. That's been going pretty well. Miles Sanders, which has been going less well.
Getting
Less
better.
well.
Yeah, then I have Philip Lindsay, who had a good week last week.
Yeah,
But he also, I mean, that was just because he scored touchdowns, though. Because Royce Freeman was actually more efficient than him. And him and Royce Freeman are definitely splitting that backfield. Anyway, and then I got Peyton Barber and Carlos Hyde at running back as well.
I wouldn't mind adding David
I
Montgomery.
would too.
to that,
That's what I was
but,
just gonna say. I would
yeah,
take him.
And then I got Darius Geis on the injured report because
Of course,
I traded
yeah. He's
him.
always on IR, is he?
I traded before the season like a fucking schmuck. I traded Evan Ingram for Darius Geis, and now I'm still trying to backfill the running back position. Yeah, that hurts. That truly hurts.
You got to see if he'll take him back, and you can get Ingram again on your roster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would make that trade and then just try to grab some other tight ends. And I would.
Well,
take
here's the
David
thing. I have
Montgomery.
Darren Waller,
Right.
who's a top
Yes.
3 or 4 tight end right now, and
Correct.
he still hasn't scored a touchdown, which is pretty impressive because he
Sure
has
is, yeah. Not
what do you have?
touchdown dependent. Yep.
Yeah, he had 13 receptions last week. He's exceeded 10 targets a couple weeks. So at some point, you got to figure regression just dictates that he's going to just break out with like a 5 touchdown game at this point. I think.
Nice. And you're only starting one, right? One must start tight end, so you could flex one if you wanted. But
Yeah, you could flex one if you wanted to. Typically, I would in my flex. I'd blah 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 blah. I wouldn't put my tight ends in.
Yeah, I'd rather flex David Montgomery than Mark Andrews and
Me
start
too.
Waller. And I mean, I understand the premium, but since it's only start one tight end, I wouldn't be as worried about it. I know it can make a difference, but man, the tight ends are just kind of, even the best ones, up and down. If you can get Montgomery and plug him in your flex, and he becomes, any kind of a monster for you, like with consistent points, I'd rather rely on that and the tradability of him after than the tight end. I mean, I know Mark Andrews is good and all that, and they're using him, but Man, they're using Nick Boyle too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Seriously,
Boyle
he's
had a great week.
all the damn time blocking, and since he's in there, opportunity is king. And Lamar's like, "Oh, there he is," and throws the ball to Nick Boyle.
Is
What do
this
you
a
know?
trade? Is this a trade offer that somebody sent you, or you're working on it?
Well,
Like
first,
it's in your box.
well, I had sent him an offer of Darius Geis and Nelson Aguilar for David Montgomery,
Uh huh.
which he rejected on the premise of basically I'm trying to gain value from him for
Yeah.
players that I don't need, which is true.
Right.
And I thought it was a very succinct description of what a f***ing trade is. um, and I'm not mad at him. I mean, it was just spot on when I read it, and I'm like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Am I wrong? Like, isn't that what you typically try to do? You try to give up, maybe not no value, but you try to give up something that's of not greater value than what you're getting.
Right, or something you're not using right now. But
Exactly. Like, yeah, I can't use Geis because he can't walk. And Aguilar has shown that he is a jag of the higher proportion.
He
So-
forgot how to catch.
so then,
he-
is
he-
it in your box, or like, can you accept
Well,
that?
no,
or-
he said he was interested in either Mark Andrews or Miles Sanders, but I don't want to trade Miles Sanders.
No,
Oh, man.
no, and
I'd
see,
give him Mark Andrews. Would you, Cipes?
I
mean,
would.
I'd give
I
him
already,
Mark.
yeah, I already
'Cause-
said yeah too.
Because honestly, if I had David Montgomery and somebody offered me Mark Andrews, I'm not taking that.
No, the problem
Now, and
is
just real quick, Mark Andrews is averaging 21.33 points a game compared
Yeah,
to
he's-
David Montgomery's
I get it.
10.1.
Yeah.
right, but this week he only got 4 points. So
Well,
the thing is,
yeah.
the thing is the problem with people like that though. A lot of times, like, well, how about this or that, and then you say okay, maybe, and then all right, and then you send it to them, and then they change their mind. Just send an offer already.
Well, now I'm going to send him. I'm going to offer him Mark Andrews for Marlon Mack, who
What?
I know you guys don't like.
You'd
but,
rather have Marlon Mack than David Montgomery?
Marlon Mack has been a top 10 back every week this year, and he's being included in the passing attack a little bit. He had 3 targets this week.
Okay.
Yeah, was it the second week he only had like, I don't know, 10, 12 points, and I say only, but in the first week he really nailed it. But so even that second week he was still a top 10 back with those,
Yeah, it says-
dozen points.
It says here
Yeah, I-
25, 8, and 16 were his 3 weeks.
right. So then I'm going to guess he was not a top 10 back when he had 8 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there was a week because
Yeah.
I was following along. I have him on a few teams, and I was pissed that week because I was expecting him to do better that week than he did week 3.
In
But
regular
anyway.
PPR, he had 8 points in week 2, and he had
Which is not
16
good.
points this week.
Yeah.
So
So he was the running back 38 that week. So all right. So he was not. That is definitely well outside the top 10. But I like Marlon Mack. I like him a lot. I think he's a really good back.
so send it.
And I did. So we'll see.
Cool.
Now we wait. So Mark Andrews for Marlon Mack. I really need running backs in this.
Well, hell yeah, Marlon Mack is this far into the season, he's running back 1. He's got more points than like you were just talking about Philip Lindsay, but also more points than Ezekiel Elliott, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, but I know he got injured. Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, lots of players.
So cool.
Fournette.
He is
That's
he's
good.
he's the running back 9 right now. Looking at
Yeah.
Fantasy Pro scoring, average 16.8, and that is with an 8-point game thrown in there, a clunker, if you will.
So then maybe you'll
Yeah,
get a
running back-
response.
Yeah, so we'll see. So that'll be awesome. So
Yeah.
we sent a trade. We did that all together, and I got a friend of ours, Corey at CS Snyder 128.
Yeah, Corey,
So
what's he doing?
He got an offer.
Mm-hmm.
And he would like to share it with. Well, he shared it with me, but so I just assumed that means I can share it on air.
You do.
And I have to ask, and I'm going to ask on behalf of Corey, what in the fuck is wrong with the guy that sent him this offer? This would be a Dynasty Trash trade offer.
Okay.
Okay, so he was offered Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, and a 2020 second for Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram. Jesus Christ.
So when he sent this to you, what was he asking you to tell him about it?
He just sent me a picture of it.
Oh, okay. So he wanted you to acknowledge that it was a trash Dynasty trade offer.
No. I think it's just he wanted to share this moment with someone. When you get trades like that, sometimes you're just like,
Yeah.
someone else has to see this. Like, this can't die in my inbox. Like, I have to share this with someone. Like,
Sure.
I sent one on the in the patron chat today. And if you're not a patron, go become a patron. Because there's a bonus podcast, and then we have a group me chat that we all never shut the fuck up in. But I was trying to make a trade, and I might have lowballed the guy. I offered him Gardner Minshew and Devin Singletary for Kerryon Johnson, Superflex Dynasty, whatever. I was hoping that he was feeling the stash. So then he
literally the stash and the stash.
Yeah, so he countered back with Mike Evans basically, and trash, just pieces of trash. Not even actual players, like it was literal garbage for Alvin Kamara and Kyler
Oh my
Murray.
God.
Yeah, we all had a hearty laugh in the group me chat for the patrons. So go become a patron because we have fun. And just so you know, if you're in a league with one of our patrons, we do share your shitty trade offers with each other because we find it humorous.
Yeah, and then every once in a while it gets thrown into the show as well. So, we were going to talk about some news stuff, and what's funny is we mentioned how a lot of times right when we're about to do our show, something comes up.
Always. I was there every time, man.
And whether it's the odds of it happening or it's maybe because we're so into everything right now, but the big news today was that Melvin Gordon was supposedly going to come back tomorrow. So everybody all over Twitter was like freaking out about either trying to dump Eckler or grab him or do something with Gordon. So what are you guys thinking it's going to happen with Eckler going forward and with Gordon going forward? Obviously, he's not going to play this weekend, even if he comes back tomorrow. But what do you think's the future for both of those guys?
Yeah, Jeremy.
I'd honestly, I would still give Eckler, the rock, the ball, at least, in a split. Justin Jackson isn't a bad player either. He was doing okay. I don't know. I think that Melvin Gordon, if he doesn't hurt himself, will end up being the starter for the Chargers. But I love Eckler. I own him in so many places. I also own Gordon, but I own Eckler in more places. So of course that's going to affect more of my teams. Him coming back. I think it'll be some type of a split at first because Gordon hasn't been playing for these weeks, but. I don't know, man. What's the finger on the pulse? What are they saying out there?
Word on the street. No, I got nothing. So what's interesting though. So I will say this: anyone, if you're offered Austin Eckler, because someone's trying to dump him, I think you got to think about taking that trade because he's a restricted free agent next year, which means they just need to tender him at a certain level, and I'm not a salary cap guru, but basically all they need to do is offer him some kind of contract and, basically they don't lose him or they get to pick. But whatever they tender him at, I'm thinking it's going to be significantly less than the $10 million that Gordon
right.
would have been signed for or whatever it is that they offered him. So I think the smart play actually would be if someone tries to dump him on you, dump air quotes.
Yeah.
I would let them dump him on me. We've seen what he did this year, right? I mean, he's just balling, and Gordon's an unrestricted free agent next year. He's already held out, part of the season. So clearly the relationship isn't the best there. And they must not value him at whatever it is he believes he's worth.
Yeah, and he took a hit. Not only did he not get what he was asking for, but he took almost $1 million hit by not playing during this time frame. Whatever, it added up to about $1 million out of his pocket. On top of it, I mean, what's he doing? He's coming back to prove to the NFL, the teams, I'm going to play. I'm going to honor this contract the rest of the way. I'm going to be a good guy and play because he's playing for what next year, right? His next contract, because he's not going to be with the Chargers after this year.
And he's hurt himself because Austin Eckler's gone out there and shown.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why he's coming back. He's like, hey,
we don't need Melvin Gordon,
right?
Because Eckler's basically been a workhorse there. Now it's not with 20 carries, but he's involved in the receiving game, and he's involved in obviously in the rushing attack, playing on 70% of the snaps. So he's shown that, maybe Melvin Gordon isn't that, I don't want to say good, but I guess that's lack of a better word. Maybe Melvin Gordon isn't all that special. And Melvin Gordon probably, it'll be interesting to see how the market develops for him. Like you would have thought.
Man. You saw how well the team was doing, and how well Eckler was doing. He's like, oh shit, man, this guy's taking my job. I better get back to work.
Yeah. I would have thought, at this point, what's to stop you from you're better off just staying out until Eckler has a bad week and be like, oh, I'm coming back to save the team.
Well, even in the offseason, when we talked about it when he was first starting to hold out, we pulled up the numbers from last year when Melvin Gordon was there. Austin Eckler was still a productive player that you could put in your flex and stuff like that, even when Melvin Gordon was playing. So,
he's a guy that you can definitely flex this year with a chance of basically the same exact role that he just had for the first 3 weeks all of next year. Because, Justin this is his second season. So if they really wanted to, they could run that back for another couple years. You tender Austin Eckler even above whatever, wherever you have to do it, or even sign him, because the guy's making peanuts. He's making like $600,000 a year. I bet you if you offer him $5 or $6 million, he'd jump at that. Sign him for 4 years at $25 million with some of it guaranteed, and run it back with those two, and But we'll see. So if someone's trying to sell short on him, I think I'd go ahead and accept. Obviously, it depends on what the actual offer is.
Yeah.
If it's a 2021st, well, we'll see about that.
So the other running back that was in the news was Saquon Barkley got hurt. I mean, you could see it even when it happened during the game, that looked like it wasn't something very small or simple. So I know in a lot of waivers this week, everybody was putting all their money on Wayne Gallman. What do you think about that situation?
He's no Saquon Barkley. I know that much.
I mean, he's not, obviously, because Saquon Barkley is a special player.
Yeah.
But I mean, for Dynasty and fantasy and trading and all that kind of stuff, what do you think about Gallman?
I mean, I'm dropping, and I forget when the actual waivers run, so I'm not going to put the specific amount, but I'm putting a significant portion of my remaining fab from my FFPC league. I have like $940 left. I'm putting a significant amount of that up for Wayne Gallman.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to take that spot for the rest of the season, valuable to anyone this year that needs a running back, especially the Saquon Barkley folks that lost him. But I mean, anybody who needs a back, it makes sense. Spend your money and get him in case. I mean, the starter for the Giants, starting running back in the NFL.
He's already shown, and he's a good receiver. He showed that at Clemson. And in his rookie season, way back in 2017, he got a little bit of run. I forget if that was when Paul Perkins was there or not, but whoever it was, their running backs weren't very good. And, he did get a little bit of a run. And he had 34 receptions. I mean, if he's got the job for the next 8 weeks, I can easily see him easily exceeding that amount. So, get and drop. Look, it's a chance at, everyone likes saying this term, a league winner, but I mean, it's a chance for a guy that could be a league winner for
capable guy. I don't think he's as bad as some people on Twitter make him out to be. I mean, I don't think he's as good as, some thought he was coming out. That's the case with a lot of players. But yeah, I mean, he's capable, and starting running back for the New York Giants. How much money are you? Don't tell me FFPC, but let's say on $100 budget, let's say you still have all of your $100 in a typical, 12-team Superflex league. What would you be willing to spend on him on that kind of a budget?
Well, let's just say this: I'd spend at least 65 to 70% of my remaining fab on him. Yeah. We're going into week 4.
Yeah.
And you got a running back that's locked in for
$70 out of 100, so 70%, $70K, whatever you want to look at it as, 70 mil. But yeah, I mean, 70% is a good number. What's that, Mike?
I was going to say, I think what he said is also important too. We're going into the 4th week. A lot of these waiver wires have been picked clean of the really good players that would pop up, or by accident somebody missed them or something. So to grab somebody now that will be playing for a while, I would do it too. I think 70% is pretty good. What do you think about, I heard today that they were saying that they were bringing in Jay Ajayi.
Yeah.
You should see Shane's face when I just said that.
No, good for Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I hope the guy gets a job. It's just that every time there's an opening anywhere,
Uh-huh.
his name has been mentioned.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
I'm surprised he's still out there. I mean, I know he has the knee problems, but he was pretty serviceable for a long time. I'm actually a big fan of his. I like the guy. I think he's a decent player, and I hope he does get a chance, on a personal level, to play football because I know he wants to. But I don't know. What do you think he's gonna do for the Giants if he gets in there?
I mean, I like Ajayi, but what's weird is I thought he was a better pass catcher than he was based off his stats at Boise State.
Okay.
But no one seems to want to use him that way in the NFL. And since it's been, several coaching staffs, it was Miami's and also Philadelphia didn't really use him that way.
Yeah, at
So I
least
guess,
three coaching regimes, right?
at
Three
least
different ones.
at least two. So
He
I
was
guess
down near
he's just,
Miami. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess he's just a grinder, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
grinder with bad knees that's coming off a torn ACL with no training camp. So I mean, yeah, if the Giants sign him, I'll throw Fab down on him because anyone with a pulse that has a chance to score, you're going to put money down on. But I'd be shocked if he ends up turning into anything special. I mean, he's a guy I think could get you 8 points in a week. Yes.
You know what I do think is shocking, though? I went and looked when I read that about JJ this afternoon. I went and looked in all the leagues that I'm in. You put it on MFL and you put the name in and it shows all. He was only available in 2 of my leagues.
Oh, I know, man.
He's
I had him
on rosters
a lot of
everywhere.
teams too.
Yeah.
I had him on my rosters, and I think I finally cut him from a couple. Maybe I had him in more places than I remembered, but I finally cut him from 2 or 3 teams to add players that I needed because of injuries and stuff. Or I still would have had him too if not for those injuries. Because I like the guy, and I'm hopeful he comes back. And like Shane said, if he can get me, maybe on a bye week like 8 or 10 points, I'd be happy with that. To be honest.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, and
surprised.
he's it's same with me. I mean, and we're in obviously the same circles,
Right,
so it's
exactly.
a lot of the same people in the same leagues. But it's surprising, and this will be a little tip for our listeners. I was surprised Wayne Gallman was available as he was. Now again, it's not
Oh,
a
I
lot of
know.
leagues,
I
but
feel that too.
he was more available than Jay Ajayi.
Yeah,
which,
exactly.
think about that for a minute. You know what I mean? Like when you look at the Giants depth chart, it was obviously Saquon, then Wayne Gallman, Elijah Penny,
Right.
and nobody. And I had to go look up their depth chart to see who was actually behind Wayne Gallman. So really, when obviously you have roster limits, but in these deeper leagues, when you have deep rosters, you should own guys like Wayne Gallman. I don't know if they'll ever amount to anything, but there's a better chance of him getting some run or even a game
Backup
over
running back, yeah.
some wide receiver, undrafted wide receiver that we all fell in love with because he's sparky or whatever. And all the NFL coaches passed on the guy 16 times over, but he's going to really make a name for himself. Like guys like Preston Williams and Darius Slayton, if they do hit, would be complete outliers. Where a guy like Wayne Gallman, can he give you 3 weeks? You're more likely to get a useful week out of one of those running backs. So start hitting those guys up. Like they shouldn't be available on your waiver
Totally
wires.
agree. I mean, not even, just thinking of it as a handcuff, but just, backup running back on a team is more valuable than some low-level wide receiver for sure. Same with backup quarterbacks. And I'm a wide receiver guy. I tend to have a lot of them on my rosters. Those are the guys I usually want to take high in drafts. But the lower end guys after you have your starting core. Yeah, it's weird that Gallman's still out there. I mean, he was a backup running back to Saquon Barkley, right? And same with backup quarterbacks. As soon as someone goes down, everybody's throwing their money at him. For instance, in this, you guys were talking about how much you'd pay for Gallman. I just looked in this salary cap league I'm in. It's like a salary cap of 80 million hard cap. And it's really, it wavers because people have different amounts of money available. But Gallman right now is at 7.5 million. Somebody could have got him for the minimum bid of $500,000 last week. 7.5 million right now, and it might even get higher than that because somebody wants to, lightning in the bottle for the Giants this week, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I'm already actually, and I've picked up Elijah Penny in a bunch of leagues too, just because again, I mean, if anything were to happen to Wayne Gallman, who has some really skinny legs, really little twig things,
It's like a wide.
if one of those should happen to accidentally get broken or something, although I guess you wouldn't purposely break someone's leg. So if one of his legs were to get broken or something, not that I wish that, but you know what I mean? Like Elijah Penny's going to be a starter, so go pick him up. I'm not saying he's good at football, but at running back, it's all about opportunity and getting the touches.
Yep. It's funny too, because speaking about the Giants with that, last week we did a lot of talk about all these quarterbacks going down and all these backup quarterbacks getting their shot and everything. So Daniel Jones got his shot this week, and he looked pretty good over there.
He's the greatest quarterback of all time, apparently. Yeah, I mean, it helps that Tampa Bay's pass defense is just complete ass.
Right.
But I mean, that's not the kid is really good, and it's funny because like I said, we trashed him. Everybody trashed him. Nobody liked him. So if anybody comes with that post after the fact, I don't even know what's the word, post hoc, where they talk about something after it happened, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So ipso facto,
there's no accountability in this business.
If people are trying to tell you that they like Daniel Jones, they're a fucking liar. I'll give one guy credit, Dynasty Rich, because he was on our show and he did the mock draft and he said, guys, it's super flex. What the f are you doing? He's a quarterback, a top 10 quarterback.
You better go in the first round. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's the only reason I drafted him, and probably you guys too, because none of us liked him.
Right.
He was a top 10 quarterback in a super flex league. You were stupid if you let him fall out of the first round.
Yeah,
but nobody liked him.
But I did get him in the first round, with my first round rookie pick in a few leagues, only because, other guys were gone. He was still there and, wanted the quarterback. So I took a flyer on him. I didn't buy in or know really that much about him at all. I was just hoping that, I hit on that pick and, it's starting to look that way. But yeah, I didn't hate on the guy, but I mean, I wasn't like a bona fide believer either. I wasn't on the bandwagon at all.
It seems like the biggest hate was the night it happened. I remember I was out of town the night of the draft, and everybody was freaking out, and the Giants fans that we know, a lot of them were like, "I'm off Twitter tonight. I'm not looking at this anymore."
No one liked that pick. No, there wasn't one person in the entire universe. Like Daniel Jones's mom actually was on Twitter trashing the pick.
I heard so much hate for Gettleman just over and over and on and on about how stupid he is and all of these things. And now, he looks like a genius with that pick.
But and I remember one of my rookie drafts that was going on, and I made a pick at like 107, and it wasn't him. And then
I thought you were going to say it was Daniel Jones.
No.
Way to twist it up, man.
But he was sitting there at 110, and at that point I was like, I got to fucking trade up. Like, I got to trade up if no one else is going to draft this guy. So I traded it up and got him and started him. But yeah, the largest reason I picked him in a bunch of leagues was just the whole Josh Allen thing, where everybody told you Josh Allen was absolutely horseshit last year.
Yep.
And now you're looking at him and you're like, this guy's fucking fantasy gold. Like, I don't care if he's not accurate. He runs like a fucking stallion, and he could throw the ball like a fucking country mile. Like, he'll hit someone once in a while. But yeah, so Daniel Jones, man. And I don't know if you saw the one, I don't know if it was his first or his second rushing touchdown, where they faked the run the one way and let him run the other way. The kid's athletic, man. I like it. And he took chances downfield. He hit Darius Slayton for a long pass. He brought them back from 18 points. I mean, he just reinvigorated that whole offense. And it tells you how terrible Eli Manning was.
The other thing that, like you say, the side effect to it too, Sterling Shepard had a really great game too with him. And people are all over him. I saw a lot of trade talk on Twitter about Sterling Shepard this week.
Yeah, he did well. I was thinking about him today because in the podcast league, I actually traded Tariq Cohen. I traded Sterling Shepard for Tariq Cohen, and I won the trade poll at the time, handily. Which is funny because that tells you what trade polls are actually worth. You look at it now, you're like, Tariq Cohen, I can't get rid of that guy.
Can I just say we're like, I don't even know how far we're into this show, but there's so many fucks that I need to edit out already. It's hilarious. But yeah,
that's what happens when we tape a day late. Up. You can't hold in. If you hold your in,
hold them in.
All over the place.
Well, you're making up for the last couple of weeks too. But yeah, that is true. I remember when you did that trade, and it is just funny because I really noticed a big uptick all week. The other quarterback that also played well, which people didn't really expect to play well, was Kyle Allen over there for the Panthers.
Oh my God, he did
Kyle
amazing.
Allen. Yeah.
Tore it up. And I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew he had some chemistry with some of those players, and he did well, preseason and stuff. But where'd that come from? Like Cam who? Is he coming back? I don't know.
Yeah, the only problem with that is he didn't target the best receiver on the team enough.
DJ Moore, right?
I mean, he had that one big play. Yeah, if he didn't have that one big play, it would be nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and if he didn't score a touchdown on that, the day's ruined. So, all right, Kyle Allen, I see that you want to target, Curtis Samuel. Fine, that's okay. But don't forget who the best wide receiver is on that team. It's DJ Moore, and it's not even close. And don't come throwing some air yard stuff at me. I don't care. DJ Moore is a much better receiver than Curtis Samuel, and a much better receiver than Curtis Samuel will ever be. But no, man, he looked great, and Cam's shutting it down because now it's come out that it was a Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
So that's not good. Those are bad, especially anyone that has to stand. It's not good because it's your foot. So yeah, that's bad. Very bad.
Oh my God. Well, there was one other other player that did come out of nowhere, and I see you have it on the sheet. It's a little bit down there a little bit, but Ronald Jones seemed to play better. And I know it's only the one game, but what do you think about Ronald Jones? Is he your finger went up. What?
Oh, I was just saying that's actually incorrect. That it was just one game because in week 1. He was actually very good as well in week 1. I'm gonna look up the stats.
Yeah, I just went to look at it too because I didn't remember it being so great in week 1. But
on our friend's site at profootballreference.com. So yeah, he went for 13 for 75. He had 100% catch rate on one target for 18 yards.
One target.
Yeah. So, and then, because I was bitching about after the second game because I didn't have a chance. I couldn't watch it because, I don't have NFL Network on my cheap-ass cable, and I didn't feel like looking on Reddit to steal the stream.
Right.
So just real quick, next Thursday or any Thursday, if any of our listeners could DM me the link to where I could stream the game, I'd really appreciate it. So anyway.
So yeah, his points were 10.
Game, he didn't do well. He went 4 for 9, but that's because he had an injured toe.
Oh, is that what happened? Yeah, because it says he had a 10, a 0.9, and a 13. So you're right. So he had 2 out of 3 good games.
Yeah, 14 for 80, and then took another 100% catch rate on one target. 41-yard reception. I mean, the guy's averaging, and yes, it yards per carry. It's not the end-all, be-all, but whatever. F you. He's got a 5.29 yards per carry.
Yep.
So what are you doing with him? Are you going after him? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I try to buy him. It's just the problem is that a lot of people that own him were guys that drafted him last year, and they're, at least I hope they are, and they're just like, like I'm having my moment in the sun. So no, you can't have him. Although, there's still a lot of owners that just think he's ass.
I was going to say, I mean, if you look, I didn't look at the numbers, and I was the one who said, well, he had a good week this week. So maybe there are still some owners out there that are not enamored with him that much. You can maybe get him. So if you could get him, would you try, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him. Get him. So good, Ronald Jones. It's going to give you my Jones.
Oh, my God. Well, what would you give to get him? What would you give to get him? Well,
I'm going to offer a third and a third right now in one league.
So 2/3?
See how that goes. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just see. I actually lost Barkley in that league. Not that Ronald Jones is a adequate replacement for that, but
yeah. What would you do it for a second? I could see somebody that has him, holding tight to a second rounder at least. No.
Ooh, nah.
1 second.
Second's a little rich for my blood. Unless it's my second and it's on a very good team, I don't know. I don't think I can do it. Not with that 2020 class being as deep as it is.
Yeah.
So we didn't. Yeah, actually, we did all that talking with the news, but we forgot to mention rotosurance.com. So go over to rotosurance.com and get 20% off by putting in our code DynastyTradesHQ, all in caps. And I think before we get into some of these trades, because it looks like we have a few trades on here and everything, why don't we hear from the Scouting Academy?
Scout NFL football like a pro. Invest in yourself and get a degree in player evaluation and assessment from the Scouting Academy. They've educated NFL GMs, personnel directors, and dozens of NFL scouts. Enroll today and you'll watch the same game tape NFL coaches watch. You'll learn to look past the metrics with position-by-position analysis. This is a time-tested curriculum, a chance to learn from the NFL execs and coaches. Sign up today and get a Dynasty Football Factory exclusive discount for limited time only. Save $50 when you sign up at DynastyFootballFactory.com.
So go ahead on to our website and hit the link for Scouting Academy and save yourself $50 on their next semester. Learn how to scout like a pro, because guess what? The rookie draft season will be here before you know it. 3 more months, actually. 3.5 months.
Seriously? Already?
October, November, December, January. Before you know it, the season's over, man, and we're already talking about 2020.
Holy crap.
The class of all classes.
We'll see.
So, it looks like we have a trade here.
Oh, yeah, so I just wanted to bring up a trade alert.
Okay.
So I need to preface this with a couple caveats, if you will, ipso facto. So I actually made this trade prior to Baker Mayfield looking like a rodeo clown on Sunday night.
Run into his right backwards.
Yeah. So
every down.
Superflex league, and we can bring up my quarterback situation and why I felt the need to make this trade. So I was running Jacoby Brissett out there, which is, that's not bad. That's good stuff. Also running out Marcus Mariota and Mitchell Trubisky.
I like the sigh.
Neither of those things are good. I even have Gilbert Garrett on my team for some reason because it's a super flex league. I don't even know who that is.
I was just going to ask you, who is that?
He's a backup quarterback for Cleveland, allegedly.
From the AAF. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah, Gilbert Garrett. Yeah. Now I remember. He was really good. So anyway, I went ahead and I sold Dalvin Cook for Baker Mayfield.
Okay, Superflex. What other quarterbacks do you have?
I had Jacoby Brissett, which was fine. I was fine with Jacoby Brissett, Marcus Mariota, and Mitchell Trubisky.
And what running backs do you have that you were able to give up Dalvin Cook?
Running backs, I have Chris Carson, and this is before he fumbled for the 18th time on Sunday. Royce Freeman, Justin Jackson, who looked a lot better prior to Melvin Gordon coming back this week. Kerryon Johnson, Rashad Penny. So if he can actually get healthy, get on the field, he would take Carson's job if he were to fumble for the 19th time on Sunday. And then for shits and giggles, I picked up CJ Prosise again this week because I believe.
With that team, I would not have traded away Dalvin Cook.
So you would have been okay streaming some
Brissett.
Variation
well, you said you had Brissett and
it's a super flex league.
Yeah, I know.
Flex league.
But isn't Dalvin Cook getting way more points over those running backs than the difference between Baker Mayfield and, say, Trubisky, or Baker Mayfield and Brissett?
Okay. So, yeah, long term. Well, first of all, Brissett's an every week starter for me in this league.
Okay.
Marcus Mariota is going to lose his job at some point.
But I said, but for Trubisky, is the difference in the points between Baker Mayfield and Trubisky?
Okay, but right now it's only 4 points. But do you think Mitch Trubisky is in the same tier or league or even universe as? I don't even think they play the same position.
No, I don't. But I also don't think that any of those running backs that you have are in the same tier as Dalvin Cook. I mean, the way Dalvin Cook's been playing this year, it's like crazy. I mean,
so you upgrade at quarterback because you're rolling out there either Mariota or Trubisky with Brissett. Brissett is fine.
Right.
So you upgraded your quarterback position, and your other running backs. So who are you going to start most week? Like, who are you going to start this week at running back?
This week, I'll start Carson and Kerryon Johnson
Okay.
And then, I'll run out Sammy Watkins, Juju Smith-Schuster,
Start
Robert
two.
Woods.
Start two running backs, or is it 1 to 6?
Yeah, you could start 2 to
5,
infinity,
whatever.
something like that.
So even if you look at the points, like in a regular PPR league right now, Dalvin Cook has 78 points, and the next one you said, Chris Carson, has 40. So that's 38-point difference between the two of them. So that's the reason I say the difference between your running backs and the difference between those two quarterbacks, I would keep the running back.
Well, I lost that poll.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's
third.
that's the reason for me.
That's fine. Because I often forget when I'm playing Dynasty that I'm actually playing redraft.
Exactly.
And what happened last week is the only thing that matters. So I understand that, because most people that play Dynasty have their heads up their asses and seem to think that they're playing a redraft. So that's fine. I mean, so when Dalvin Cook is retired in 3 years because he's torn his other ACL and his labrum again, and labrum's not a lady part, right?
No.
That's
I don't know. But
Starts out the same, but it ends.
But
with
it's
a different
kind of
one.
like what we talked about last week, though, too, when you say that 3-year thing. Okay, so maybe in 3 years, Dalvin Cook's not going to be doing anything, and maybe Baker Mayfield will be. But it's
maybe Baker Mayfield is goddamn Hall of Fame talent.
Oh my God!
Quarterback one. I mean, and I would trade a running back for a quarterback one in a league if I wanted to upgrade at quarterback. But yeah, I see where Mike's going, because Dalvin Cook has been killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Dalvin Cook has been a fucking monster this year. That team is just, they refuse to throw the ball.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's killing Diggs. It's killing. I mean, Thielen got that one touchdown, and then he got a rushing touchdown.
Rushing touchdown, which was big.
Yeah,
because. Yeah, no, they're definitely. But how long can they keep running out there where they're throwing less than 22 times a game, which they've done twice so far this year?
It's crazy.
2 out of 3 games.
It's crazy, and that's actually part of what we had on the show sheet too. You wanted to discuss some of these really good players that are in bad situations, and I mean, I can't think of anything more glaring than Stephon Diggs. I mean, he's a great player, but he's on a team that only wants to run the freaking ball.
Yeah, when did Kirk Cousins become so bad at football? Like, I don't remember this. It happened out of nowhere. Like, overnight, it was just like, oh, by the way, he's shit.
And there was rumblings in the offseason. People were talking about that team may look a little different this year. And I know some people believed it and some people didn't. And I mean, I was one of the people that was hoping that Diggs and Thielen would still be great. But it's just amazing how it's really become the Dalvin Cook show, and everything else has kind of fallen to the wayside there.
Well, that's not true. Alexander Madison's actually
okay, but that's a running back though. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so just the running game is doing great, but it is crazy.
Yeah, just looking at their pass attempts, so they have 10.
In a whole game, there's 10 pass attempts.
Like, I remember when I saw that box score, I was like, what?
Oh
Wait,
my
what?
God.
So they had 10, they had 32, but that was when they were in comeback mode, and then 21 last week against the Raiders.
Wow.
They can't continue. It just it's physically impossible to throw that few times.
Yeah.
I think they're throwing the ball somewhere in the neighborhood of, and I don't feel like looking it up, and so if someone wants to look it up, but they're throwing the ball at like a historically low rate. So like just common sense and regression dictates that that's going to change. At some point, if you're on defense and you're playing the Vikings, you go, you know what, guys? I think they're going to run. Maybe we should stack the box.
It is kind of crazy, and it is funny that if us as fantasy viewers can see that, why can't the teams on the field see that as well?
I often wonder that when I watch, like when I was watching the Bears game on Monday night.
Yes, you tweeted it out too, what you're about to say.
Well, it was a little frustrating. So I went into the night in Trade Addicts 6, I believe that's the league. Yes, Trade Addicts 6. I was playing one of their hosts, Brian Harhar, and I went into the night up around 5 points. I had David Montgomery and he had Chris Thompson. Clearly, I should win that fucking game easily. There should be absolutely no like I should have been able to go to bed at halftime, right? Easily up. No. I had to stay awake until that fucking game was over. And I almost lost the game on the pass to Chris Thompson, but thankfully I didn't. I was losing the game until the Bears' final possession when they finally gave the ball to David Montgomery. Matt Nagy is terrible. He's got Cordero, whatever his name is, Corduroy Patterson out there playing running back.
Cordero. The first time.
Yeah,
Cordero. The stupidity of coaches is amazing. Mike LaFleur, whatever his name is, it doesn't matter. Right. He doesn't deserve a correct name.
He doesn't deserve the correct name.
No, so week 1, there's too much of a split between Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. Week 2, it's the Aaron Jones show, and Aaron Jones, he went crazy. He rushed for 123 yards, something like that. Just had a great day and showed what happens when you feed him like a bell cow. So what did they do this week? It was like a fucking even split. Like he had like 10 carries and Jamal Lewis had like 9, something ridiculous like that. Or Jamal Williams.
I was going to say, yeah, Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis retired a long time.
I'd be okay with him giving them all to Jamal Lewis.
I know, really.
Honestly, Jamal Lewis right now would be a better running back than
Jamal Williams. Yeah, no doubt.
I'm sorry. I don't even know what we were talking about.
I don't either, but I do remember seeing your tweet about the fact that they're not using David Montgomery correctly. And that's why I thought it was funny,
Yeah, and even if I didn't own David Montgomery in a bunch of leagues, that would annoy the shit out of me. I just hate coaches that just try to outsmart people. Like, hey, I could just beat you with these good players, but instead, you see Corduroy Patterson? Yeah, he's trash. I'm going to beat you with him. Like, are you trying to win the game or hurt their feelings? Like, I don't understand.
I keep seeing Corduroy in my head now. Well, the other player that you were talking about in this conversation was Corey Davis too, where you believe that Corey Davis is this great talent, but in the situation that he has, it's not working out for him. However, he did see some flashes this week, and a lot of people on Twitter were like, there's the Corey Davis we were looking for.
He had 3 receptions, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he flashed. I mean, compared to the previous week when he had 0.
I'm talking about the exact moment that he catches the ball. Twitter goes, "There's Corey Davis!" Like everybody wants it. Yeah, everybody wants it so bad they'll take whatever they could get.
It was a one-handed grab.
Yeah.
It's really great, and it's like, oh my god, look what happens when you throw him the ball, and then Marcus Mariota's like, that's not going to happen again, buddy.
They never throw him the ball.
So just real quick, I do have a question for you guys. How much longer until Mariota is benched? And just so we get this out there, I don't think Mariota is actually a bad quarterback, but I think the situation's terrible and he's not good enough to overcome the situation.
Well, and it's pretty obvious too when you look at all the leagues. Every league I'm in, Ryan Tannehill is rostered in every league that I'm in. Everybody thinks that Ryan Tannehill will eventually get a shot at playing on that team.
Trade alert.
I was just going to say we have a trade alert that has Ryan Tannehill in it. What's the trade alert? And I love the hashtag, by the way.
As I'm following the game on Thursday night, I go, oh my God, Marcus Mariota is my second starting quarterback in this league. I need to go get Ryan Tannehill. So Dynasty Trades HQ, that's us, gave up a 2020 third round pick for Ryan Tannehill from the Dynasty Nerds.
Yes.
Well, Ryan Tannehill actually plays for the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
But Dynasty Nerds owned him in that league.
Right. I like that trade. I mean, because a third round pick, who the hell knows what that's going to be? And I agree with you ever since you said it this offseason that there's definitely the possibility that guy ends up playing instead of Mariota. You didn't say your little hashtags, though.
Hashtag, dear God, Marcus Mariota looks awful, Dynasty trade.
So, yeah, I like that trade. Like I said, Tannehill is on a roster in every single league I'm in. So to be able to give up a third for him, I don't have any problem with that at all.
It's probably just a matter of time, man. Something's going to either happen to Mariota health-wise again or, they're just going to pull the plug because, it's just ugly.
I mean, it's possible he just retires. He retires.
He hangs out with Andrew Luck. I couldn't take it.
It's just like, this is really depressing. I can't do this anymore, guys, and just leaves.
Well, so, I agree. I think that's a pretty good trade. And, something just popped into my head what Jeremy just said, and I was wondering what you guys think about this. When you guys talk about these big rosters and the end of your bench roster, what do you think about players like Andrew Luck and now Antonio Brown? And, when these guys say they're gone and then they're gone, and then, the other one I was going to say was Gronk. Do you guys agree with grabbing these guys and stashing them on the end of your roster or not?
I'm fine with all of them except for Antonio Brown. I got rid of my share of him. A few weeks back, I traded him to Tim Torch, and it looked like as soon as I traded him, when the Raiders cut him, then he went to the Patriots, and it looked like, I got Le'Veon Bell and Damian. Oh my God, the guy in Kansas City,
Damian Williams.
Damian Williams. I almost said Damian Harris, but I got those two guys. A few players that I wanted to use this year to try to repeat and win the championship instead of Antonio Brown, who I said to Tim, I don't think he wants to play football anymore. So I was glad to get rid of my last share. I don't want anything to do with that guy. But in the other cases of the guys that retired due to health, that love football, like Gronk and Luck, I could see somebody having those players at the end of their bench as their last spot. Because, why not? I mean, maybe they come back we already know the last spot on your roster is reserved for somebody who's probably you're holding on to just because you like their name. You draft them as a rookie and you won't let go. If it's Laquan Treadwell or somebody like that, yeah, I'd rather have Gronk or Luck, but not Brown.
I just thought of it mostly because it's Wednesday night, and in a lot of leagues, waivers go through at 8:00 on Wednesday night. And the waivers went through just before we started doing the show tonight. And I actually saw AB dropped in a few leagues this weekend, but picked up in almost every one of the waiver stands on Wednesday. So I was wondering what your thought was about those guys.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with specifically. I mean, AB is better than any bottom of the bench guy you could have, obviously, talent-wise. I have no idea if he ever wants to play football again. I mean, he re-enrolled in school. I think he might try to play college football again. Who knows?
Or he's just waiting it out. It's possible he's waiting it out.
To me, I would say it depends on the player, but I don't remember any football player that's retired and then come back. I mean, remember we all held on to Calvin Johnson for years.
He's still in the MFL system, by the way.
I know. I see that all the time, too.
Yeah. Well, I think Barry Sanders is still in there.
I wish.
Antonio Brown, too, is 31 years old, you guys. I mean, maybe he does come back. If you were on waivers and I could pick him up and have him on the end of my bench, and it wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg, maybe I'd do that. But I just don't want to be a part of that guy. And he's 31. I don't know if he's going to come back and play, and I just don't think he wants to. But that's beside the point. Like Shane pointed out, he is a great player. So if you can get him on waivers and stash him at the end of your bench and want to say, what the hell, let's give it a shot. But I'd rather have a backup quarterback than Antonio Brown.
I just thought it was interesting, and I wanted to know what your guys' thought was about players like that.
Guys are cutting him. I at least traded him.
Yeah, I haven't. See, Gronk isn't a guy that I held on to or tried to get on waivers in anywhere because he's lost 75 pounds since he's been off steroids. So
he does look pretty skinny. That is true.
Well, because he's off steroids. I mean, it's amazing how much muscle mass you lose. There's a reason they use that shit. If he's going to come back, whatever, it's probably, I don't know how long. And also, if any of my listeners are steroid users, feel free to DM me the answer. I don't know how long a full cycle takes before you're all bulked up again.
Isn't it against the rules to do steroids in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, don't they test these guys? But did Gronk not get tested? I mean,
oh please.
Allegedly. But it is true. I did see those pictures of him on the red carpet. He did look kind of skinny. So we do have one more trade on the sheet. But before we get to that trade, let's hear from our sponsor, bestfantasyfootballleague.com.
bestfantasyfootballleague.com. Join a 12-team Dynasty startup draft today. Leagues start at just $49 and go up to $999. Starting lineups of 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 2 flex spots. They also have best ball leagues, weekly leagues, and redraft leagues with 6 different starting lineup options in 10, 12, and 14 team leagues. bestfantasyfootballleague.com. The best fantasy football leagues on the net.
So yeah, you could join a league right now if you wanted to. there's never a bad time to join a league. I always wanted to start a league in week 4, like week 5, just because like you get so much data, because there's so many things that you think were going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, it's a new coach or Bruce Arians is in Tampa Bay, and I think O.J. Howard's going to do really well. And, you're 4 weeks into the season, and you're like, oh, well, no, I was wrong.
It is funny how much we convince ourselves in the off season of what's going to be good and what's not.
Oh, I know.
And then how it
I
really
did it
plays
too.
out. It is true.
And I'm so pissed in some cases that I look back and I'm like, why did I make that decision? Why did I think that? Because you put a lot of thought into some of it. You do research and you think it through, but we're all guilty of all those sorts of biases that humans can be guilty of. I mean, we do it, and we just don't know that we're doing it, is the thing.
I will say this, too, really quick, before we say the last trade offer that we had here and wrap up. What you just said, Jeremy, this weekend, I went into a couple of my leagues, and I was looking at it, and I was like, God, I need to clean up these leagues and get rid of some of the stuff that didn't work and just fill in the spots that can be filled in. And I know you and I spoke about it because you did the same thing, too. But if for some of you that are out there, I see so many rosters that have like FA players on their roster and empty spots on your roster. Go in there and fill those spots in. I mean, especially when you have first come, first serve waivers. Go pick up whatever you want.
Go pick someone up. Yeah,
get rid of some of those FAs and some of those blank spots. But this last trade that we have here is a Trade Addict 6 trade. And Shane,
So I'm just real quick. Shout out to Brian Haar, who I beat by 1 point.
Woohoo!
And I am tied for first place with Russ, the other host of Trade Addicts. But I beat Brian, and it's his league, so that feels good.
Dude, I like how you plugged it like that, because I've been saving, like I was like, I'm not going to do it on the show that like the week we played in the high stakes contracts league, I doubled your score. I was like, I got to rub that in. I crushed Shane a couple weeks ago. My
team is
destroyed yours, dude.
Terrible in that league, man. I just need to just gut it and start over.
I know my team is like that in Trade Addict 6. It's like we flip-flopped.
That's funny.
I know. I tried to make a trade with you today. I tried to buy Miles Sanders from you low.
Yes, very low.
I like you said very low.
It was decent.
He goes very low.
It was kind of low, man. You offered me a wide receiver, right?
Yeah, good one.
What was it? What do you consider good?
The best
Mac
one.
Hollins or something? I don't remember.
Mac Hollins for Miles Sanders?
It was a little better than Mac Hollins. I'm not going to lie. So in Trade Addicts,
all right, what's the trade we have on the sheet though?
We have, and again, this is a heavy duty tight end premium 1.75.
Oh yeah, the Trade Addicts is 1.75. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I went ahead and traded my 2020 second, and I got myself a little bit of Chris Herndon.
Right.
Herndon.
I didn't realize what you were saying about him coming back from his DUI suspension. Is that what you said?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, Jeremy and I have talked about this plenty of times on the show. I'm fine trading away picks next year.
Yep.
You can always get them back. And a tight end premium like that of 1.75 to get a tight end that you believe is going to be a guy you could stick in every single week, I have no problem with that.
Heck yeah, man. You're getting a player you like for a 2020 second. That's not a big deal. I mean, you're not going to give that up for Ronald Jones, but Chris Herndon, I mean, just joking with you. I would do
that. It's kind of funny that you say it that way, though,
Well, I mean, so just real quick, Chris Herndon had 12 games as he started last year, 39 receptions, 502 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he was a rookie.
I like
I like Chris Herndon. So hopefully he can stay off the sauce. Or if he doesn't, just don't drive. Just call Uber. Hit me up, dude. Yeah, I got you.
Definitely. Exactly. With the way Uber and Lyft is and everything, don't drink and drive, please.
Yeah, DoorDash, Grubhub. I mean,
Grubhub is the food one.
I mean, honestly, like if you ordered a Grubhub and then the guy got there and you were like, hey, really, I just need a ride somewhere. Can I give you like $50? Do you think he would turn it down?
Probably not, but I'm sure there's some kind of liability in there somewhere.
Grubhub.
No.
Any of those, DoorDash. And then real quick on Twitter.
Yes.
I didn't run the poll, but Mr. Outhouse did.
Yes.
The toilet. I am currently losing that poll 47 to 53%. The 2020 second is winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
about that.
it's like we just said, plus some people don't even know about the fact that he's suspended. People will probably click on his name, see a 0, and they go, oh, no, I wouldn't do that, So
That guy doesn't even score.
yeah, fuck that guy.
Never even asked him.
But all right, so great. So why don't we wrap everything up because it's an early night and we've got other things to do. So why don't we say goodbye and throw in? Wait, you wanted to mention about our Patreon account and about membership, correct?
Oh, well, yeah, go be a patron. There was something else that happened. Oh, we were talking about trades. We just posted one. We're just going to follow the life of a trade. Because I thought it'd be fun. Like, everyone posts all these polls on trades, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just fucking die.
Right.
And nothing, you never get an update. Like, previously on this episode.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I want to revisit some of them, man.
So-
I see how they turn out after. We've talked about doing that before. We never did.
So I threw that up on the Patreon, on the Patreon page, a little written content. So anytime anything happens with one of those players, basically I'm going to be drawing out that little, whatever you call that, a tree, whatever.
Cool.
A little write up what happened and stuff. So yeah, I just figured it'd be kind of cool to see how long this could go out. Because I actually love, like, when you go on ESPN and you look back at, like, how trades worked out and the after effects and, like, every player that was, impacted by it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I hope in, like, 5 years down the road I can look back and be like, oh, and this Todd Gurley trade ultimately netted me Ronald Jones the third.
I like that idea, and maybe
Yep.
we'll even mention it a few times on the Patreon show as well. So
How a bill becomes a law and how Shane can win a trade.
I could just picture the Bill sitting on the stairs. All right, well, thanks guys for listening. Go check out our Twitter account at DynastyTradesHQ. Check out our iTunes and give us a rate and review, please, at DynastyTradesHQ.
If you don't rate and review us, I'm going to find you. And no, seriously, go give us a rating and review because we need those. Just got one today. I'm waiting for it to come through so we can give a shout out. But we like rating and reviews. They make
Love
us
the
happy.
feedback.
Yes, please. And then check out our, like we said, our Patreon account. And we will talk to you guys next week.
We will. We'll see you next week. And Shane, I will not give you Miles Sanders for Deebo Samuel. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And say goodbye, Shane.
Fair trade. Goodbye, Shane.
I like how you ended fair trade.